contamination makes them more aggressive and more destructive. So therefore, going back to nature is a wonderful way of reducing all kinds of problems.
Okay, now that you're talking about it, please talk about the stark difference between monoculture and permaculture, and the need to have variety of plants growing like in nature, opposed to the multinational monocultural agricultural system.
Yeah. Now it's all very well known now. The world knows increasingly that survival depends on diversity. Now, if you look at the huge agricultural disasters, crop disasters, now coffee was one of those disasters in Sri Lanka. One disease removed all the coffee. Then there was the potato thing in Ireland, when hundreds of thousands of people died. Now, therefore, monocultures lead to any disease. If it's on a monoculture, it spreads. It becomes an epidemic, right? That's one big problem, right? The other thing is, when you do monoculture, you are not making the best use of your ecological conditions. Say, for instance, in this plot of land, if you have, if you go to our traditional Chena cultivation, right? In the Chena cultivation, you get creepers, you get yams, creepers, plants that grow to small heights, middle heights, large heights, and it's done in a way that you capture the maximum sunlight. Now, this capturing maximum sunlight by a plant is a tremendous solution to the energy problem, because you convert sun's energy into useful food and fertilizer and fuel. So therefore, you don't have to depend for this whole transformation into fossil fuel that takes thousands of years. If you can make best use of your sunlight, convert it by a diversified way of planting into energy, into food for animals, food for human beings, and food for plants, you improve your soil fertility. So the benefits of a diversified type of farming is innumerable, and so much in comparison with monoculture. Monocultures emerge due to, they utilize monocultures for easy harvesting, and easy harvesting of this type was for large production. And if we say in a country like Sri Lanka, we don't need that kind of large scale production. In fact, there are some people who say, even in history, all these very large reservoirs were built by kings when they had to feed their large armies. Otherwise, people depended on smaller reservoirs, smaller irrigation, and a diversified system. Agriculture, paddy farming was part of a system where you kept your forests for conservation. If you look at Minneria reservoir, Minneria tank, about 100,000 acres of the upland was kept as forest reservation for the protection of the reservoir. To date, there has not been any damage caused by that due to that protective arrangement. We don't have that now. If you look at Victoria, you clear all the high elevations and eroded soil, the whole reservoir gets filled in, say, 1/3 of the reservoir gets filled in no time. Therefore, it's destruction. So therefore, it's it's very simple logic. You can't afford to deal with nature in a destructive manner, because nature is the best source of survival. Best way, best potential for survival is with nature. You might want to improve a little bit and deal with it a little bit with sound understanding of how nature works, and that is how traditional agriculture was done. The people's knowledge in agriculture was a knowledge of nature. They knew how when the rainfall comes, and they knew the dates, and they knew when plants have to be sown and when it should not be sown. All these things, all the nakat and so on, was sound knowledge of how nature works. So therefore,
Okay, this is perfect because my next question to you is, with the introduction of ICI and all these other chemicals, how much of this knowledge is getting completely wiped out in our country?
well,
Which is the key factor, because once the knowledge is gone, even if you want to revert back to the old system, suddenly you find an entire generation or two generations for that matter that are oblivious to the old systems of farming.
that has already happened to a large extent. In fact, what we have to do about, say, look at this whole food habits. Now, people have to fight back. It's a tremendous struggle to convince people that the type of junk food that they eat from shops are not very healthy, because they are promoted as the best food, the most nutritious food, most delicious food, and so on. And they are done with such great power of propaganda, and which sometimes it's I would call it torture. If you watch a cricket match, how many times you look at Nestle advertising or Nestle advertising their same product in the same manner, how many times a minute or how many times in 1 hour? It's torture. And this is, this, I don't know what you call it, you high pressure advertising. Therefore, it's unless some real drastic decisions are compelled upon the rulers, you can't get over it. We can do it. In fact, we have done our utmost. We are not a big organization, we are a small organization, but what we have done is considerable. You can convince people about the rationality of nature's way of doing things, nature's way of planting, nature's way of eating, nature's way of looking after your soil and your health and so on. They understand it, but the next time something else comes in and it's all wiped out. So it's a big struggle, because what comes in the name of modernity is absorbed, and that's how the whole new generation is being created to do that. No? So it's a big struggle.
So do you find that there is this massive vacuum of knowledge?
Tremendous.
Of indigenous farming and the old knowledge that sustained Sri Lanka for thousands of years. For the first time in its history, there is a vacuum of knowledge of the old sustainable systems of farming.
There is, in fact, there is a tremendous vacuum of knowledge, and that is because this whole thing, they create the machinery for wiping out. Now, if you look at the history of the Green Revolution was spread all over the world by creating a massive machinery. Now, they had some meeting in 1940s in some place led by the World Bank, where they got leaders of countries to accept this, that was called miracle rice. That time they said the problem or the solution to the problem of hunger is being found. It was presented as a miracle, and then there were large sums of money allocated. There were research centers set up. They had this CGIAR systems, and they set up research centers in Philippines, Los Banos, Nicaragua, and Nigeria, and all these central areas where the diversity was richest, and they started collecting it. Then they got the governments to have very large, extensive extension services system. We had one extension worker for 200 farmers, and their job was to instruct people to do this green revolution agriculture. So therefore, it's not automatic that the people got used to this. It was drilled into them.
So it was a systematic campaign to wipe out the knowledge base of indigenous farming. Do you agree?
Yes, very much. It's very systematic. In fact, now what they are trying to do with this, what they call second green revolution, the promotion of genetically modified rice, what they call golden rice, they are trying to do the same thing.